Now to a crime alert in Newport News where police are investigating a homicide. Officers found 28-year-old Imani Parrish unresponsive at a home on Antrim Drive near Harpersville Road just before 9 last night. She died at the scene, and tonight Layla Cox spoke with members of her family who say they want the person who did this to turn themselves in.
Nicole Parrish, the mother of Imani, says she spoke with her daughter just hours before she died.
She asked me, "Mom, you at work?" And I said, "Yeah." And I asked her, "Was she okay?" And she said, "Yeah." That was the last time I talked to her.
Parrish's family say they want Imani to be remembered as an angel on earth.
She was everything.
Yeah.
She was loved by everybody. It wasn't nobody that she didn't touch that didn't get intoxicated by her love.
Imani Parrish leaves behind a 10-year-old son named King and a community of people whose hearts she touched.
On April 30th, 2025, at approximately 9 p.m., emergency responders were dispatched to the 600 block of Antrim Drive in Newport News, Virginia, after a family member reported that 28-year-old Imani B. Parrish was unresponsive and not answering her phone. Once inside the residence, officers located her body in a bedroom closet, wrapped in a blood-soaked comforter and showing signs of significant trauma. Law enforcement immediately classified the scene as suspicious, triggering a homicide investigation. Over the ensuing weeks, detectives pieced together evidence of blunt force trauma to the head and traces of broken glass on her person. By early June 2025, 30-year-old David Anderson, a Newport News resident, was arrested and charged with first-degree murder in connection with Parrish's death. The case remains under judicial review with court proceedings and investigative details ongoing. This is Facebook Crime. We deliver clear, factual, and up-to-date true crime stories. Subscribe and turn on notifications to stay informed on the latest cases and investigations. Imani B. Parrish was a 28-year-old resident of Newport News, Virginia. She lived on the 600 block of Antrim Drive where she resided with her young son. Parrish was employed as a painter at the Newport News shipyard, a physically demanding job that required long hours and strict safety protocols. According to family accounts and public records, she maintained a routine centered around work, childcare, and extended family. She was known to design custom T-shirts, curate music playlists, and document family moments through photography. There were no publicly documented legal disputes or criminal history associated with her prior to her death. On April 30th, 2025, concerns arose when Parrish failed to respond to phone calls and messages. This lack of communication was considered unusual by her family, as she was known to remain reachable, especially due to her responsibilities as a parent. As the hours passed without contact, a family member requested a welfare check at her residence. At approximately 9 p.m., Newport News police officers and emergency responders arrived at the Antrim Drive home. Upon entering the residence, officers immediately observed signs that prompted further inspection of the interior. Blood was visible inside the home, leading investigators to conduct a room-by-room search. During the search, officers discovered Parrish's body inside a bedroom closet. The body was wrapped in a comforter that was heavily saturated with blood. Parrish was pronounced dead at the scene. Due to the nature of the discovery, the location of the body, and visible trauma, law enforcement classified the death as suspicious and secured the residence as a crime scene. Detectives from the Newport News Homicide Unit were called in to take over the investigation. Initial observations indicated that Parrish had suffered blunt force trauma to the head. Broken glass fragments were found on her body and clothing, suggesting a violent encounter had occurred inside the residence. The placement of the body inside the closet raised immediate questions regarding whether the body had been moved after death and whether the scene had been intentionally concealed. Crime scene technicians documented the residence extensively. Blood patterns were photographed and analyzed, including areas outside the closet where the body was found. Investigators collected physical evidence from multiple locations within the home, including the bedroom, flooring, and household items that appeared disturbed. No signs of forced entry were publicly reported, prompting investigators to consider the possibility that Parrish may have known the person responsible. The medical examiner later confirmed that the cause of death was blunt force trauma. The injuries were consistent with repeated force rather than a single impact. The presence of glass fragments supported the theory that an object within the home may have been used during the assault. The autopsy report also assisted investigators in narrowing the estimated time of death, which became a critical component in reconstructing Parrish's final hours. As the investigation progressed, detectives focused on Parrish's recent contacts and personal relationships. Phone records, text messages, and digital communications were examined to establish a timeline of interactions leading up to April 30th. Surveillance footage from nearby locations was also reviewed to identify any individuals entering or leaving the area around the estimated time of death. Through this process, investigators identified David Anderson, a 30-year-old Newport News resident, as a person of interest. Authorities determined that Anderson had a personal connection to Parrish. While authorities did not initially disclose the full nature of their relationship, family members later stated that the suspect was someone Parrish trusted and cared about. Detectives continued gathering evidence to support probable cause. This included witness interviews, forensic analysis, and corroboration of timeline discrepancies. Investigators worked to determine Anderson's whereabouts during the critical window of time when Parrish was believed to have been killed. Based on the accumulated evidence, authorities sought and obtained an arrest warrant. In early June 2025, David Anderson was arrested and charged with first-degree murder in connection with Parrish's death. The charge indicated that prosecutors believed the killing was intentional and carried out with extreme disregard for human life. Anderson was taken into custody without incident and formally charged in Newport News. Following the arrest, court proceedings began. Anderson was held pending further hearings, and the case entered the pre-trial phase. Prosecutors prepared to present forensic findings, digital evidence, and witness testimony. Defense filings were not immediately made public, and no plea was entered at the time of the initial hearings. Meanwhile, Parrish's family organized memorial arrangements and sought public assistance to cover funeral expenses. Community members in Newport News followed the case closely, with many expressing concern over the circumstances of the crime and the unanswered questions surrounding it. Media coverage highlighted the location of the body, the alleged relationship between the victim and the accused, and the severity of the injuries. Several key questions remained central to the investigation. Authorities did not publicly identify the specific object used to inflict the fatal injuries. It was also unclear whether any additional individuals were present in the residence at any point during the incident. Investigators continued to analyze whether the crime scene had been altered after the assault and how long the body remained in the closet before discovery. The legal process moved forward with scheduled court dates and motions. Prosecutors worked to establish motive, opportunity, and intent, while defense prepared to challenge the interpretation of evidence. The outcome of the case would depend on forensic clarity, witness credibility, and the reconstruction of events leading up to Parrish's death. As of the latest available information, the case of Imani Parrish remained active within the judicial system. An arrest had been made, charges filed, and formal proceedings initiated. The investigation brought attention to the risks associated with intimate violence and the complexities involved when crimes occur within private residences. The case continues to be examined through court records, forensic documentation, and investigative reporting, with further developments expected as legal proceedings advance. Thanks for watching. Did you find this case informative? If you want more true crime stories, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay informed on the latest cases and investigations.